Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Crypto News Weekly Roundup. We are buzzing as always. Guys, what a bloodbath this week. Pretty rough. Couple terrible days. And as you can see on our beautiful price board ahead of us, it is red across the board with two blips of green being the stablecoins. Even the stablecoins are down on the week. No bueno. We'll jump into it. As always, Rachel, how are you? How's life in beautiful Texas this week?
Doing well, Matt. The weather here in Austin is amazing, and I'm excited to talk about the crypto news of the week.
Let's jump into it. Price action, as always, Bitcoin is down 5.2% to 102. No, not 120. That is 102 per Bitcoin. Crazy to think. A month ago, we were at like $1.26, and now we're already down to 102. ETH got hammered this week, down 12.5% to 3.3 per ETH. 3.3K per ETH, XRP down 9% to 2.23 per XRP. BNB got absolutely hammered, back at 930 after that parabolic run up past 1,000. Solana, biggest loser of the week for the top 15 coins, down 15.6% to 155.90 per SOL. And as you can see, everything is red. With a bunch of two-digit losers on the percentage parts this week. Ethereum, BNB, Solana, Doge, Cardano, Hyperliquid, Chainlink, Bitcoin Cash, all of them absolutely wrecked. Let's hope we get some green this week. Rachel, we're going to start with some good news. And we love seeing this. I think you and I have done maybe 5 or 6 of these already. The Tether quarterly reports coming in hot. These guys are bar none the biggest money printer in all of crypto and one of the biggest money printers in the whole world.
Yeah, Matt. So Tether recently published its Q3 2025 attestation covering figures through September 30th, 2025. The report states year-to-date profit exceeded $10 billion and excess reserves totaled $6.8 billion, and it verifies reserves, liabilities, and the assets backing USDT. Reserves were reported at $181.22 billion against $174.45 billion in liabilities, including $174.36 billion related to tokens in circulation. USDT issuance increased by more than $17 billion during Q3, lifting circulating supply above $174 billion, and the company says supply later passed $183 billion in October. Tether reports total exposure to U.S. Treasuries of about $135 billion, which it says would place the company around 17th if compared with sovereign holders. The reserve mix also includes $12.9 billion in gold and $9.9 billion in Bitcoin. Crazy, crazy stuff there. That is a lot of billions.
Shout out Paolo and the Tether team, absolutely crushing it. Next piece of news this week, guys, MEXC, one of the larger centralized exchanges in the world, was dragged through the mud this week on crypto Twitter, aka our beautiful and usually not so beautiful town square. MEXC apologized after wrongfully freezing $3 million from a trader known as the White Whale, who is indeed a whale. He uses a lot of money and has recently had $3 million in the account. They froze it. The issue gained attention after the GOAT, Zach XBT, intervened, prompting MEXC's leadership to issue a public statement. MEXC plans to launch a fast-track channel to dispute resolutions as it works to fix transparency and operational issues. Getting a lot of fun this week on MEXC, folks saying they're insolvent. Turns out, hopefully everything's going to be okay. But if you do have money on MEXC, again, Rachel or myself, neither of us are experts, but it would probably be a good idea to send that into a decentralized wallet. Always get off centralized exchanges if you can. 2 unfortunate hacks this week. Rachel, you will cover the first one. I will cover the second one. Well, I guess the second one wasn't a hack, but still, this was a tough one. Balancer, one of the OG crypto DeFi products, lost over $116 million earlier this week.
Yeah, so this is some unfortunate news. Over $116 million in crypto assets have been drained from Balancer protocol, marking one of the most severe DeFi exploits of the year. At approximately 9:12 a.m. on Monday, blockchain analytics firm Look On Chain raised the alarm, reporting that Balancer had been exploited for $70.6 million in crypto assets. Initial data revealed that the attacker siphoned off 6,587 wrapped ETH, worth $24.46 million, 6,851 OS ETH, worth $26.86 million, and 4,260 WST ETH, which was worth $19.27 million across multiple blockchains. That is some tough stuff to process.
super tough there, and apologies and goodwill to everyone who got affected, and hopefully you guys can recoup that very quickly. Stream Finance in the news this week. Haven't talked about them in a hot minute. They suspended deposits and withdrawals after an external fund manager overseeing the protocol's funds disclosed the loss of about 93 million in fund assets. This was said on Tuesday. The team has retained Keith Miller and Joseph Cutler of law firm Perkins Coie to investigate the incident. The team did say, and I quote, "We are actively withdrawing all liquid assets and expect this process to be completed in the near term," adding the periodic updates will follow as more info becomes available. We still don't know what really happened here, but all withdrawals and deposits remain paused, which is not good. Of course, no one's depositing at this time, but no one can withdraw, so this is probably going to be something bad. Again, hope everyone in Stream Finance is doing okay as well. All right, moving forward. Let's maybe stop with the complete negative stuff and go to a little bit more positive stuff here. Why wouldn't we? Ray Dalio in the news again. I always love when Ray Dalio's in the news. This one is a bit of a hot take, though. Rachel, tell us about it.
Yeah, it's good and bad news. So the billionaire investor and Bridgewater Associates founder argues that the Fed's shift from balancer sheet reduction to expansion represents a classic late-stage debt cycle dynamic that could drive gold and Bitcoin dramatically higher before an inevitable collapse. That is what Ray Dalio is saying. So the Fed announced that it would end quantitative tightening effective December 1st of this year, transitioning to balance sheet maintenance at $6.5 trillion while redirecting agency security income into Treasury bills rather than mortgage-backed securities. Dalio views this as more than a technical maneuver, as officials describe it, particularly as the shift occurs alongside large fiscal deficits and strong private credit creation. And we could definitely see Bitcoin and gold soar, but then eventually implode.
Yeah, well said there. Circle in the news. Haven't talked about Circle in a couple of weeks. They have caved to political pressure, reversing the Circle gun purchasing ban. Circle is obviously the issuer of the world's second largest stablecoin, USDC. Only the biggest one left is Tether. And Circle has reversed a controversial policy that prohibited firearm purchases following weeks of political pressure and public criticism from gun rights groups and Republican lawmakers. The company confirmed that it has updated its terms of service to permit lawful transactions involving firearms after the National Shooting Sports Foundation, also known as MSSF, a major firearms trade association, challenged what described as financial discrimination against lawful commerce. Pretty wild stuff here. Honestly, guys, I had no clue about this as a Canadian who does not live in America. I don't think any stablecoins are used to buy guns in Canada. Then again, I'm probably wrong. Who knows? Anyways, very weird stuff here. And that is super weird. More stablecoin stuff in the news this week, Rachel.
Yeah, and I figured that whole news with USDC would go over well for Texans, as I am currently in Texas. But anyways, back to the other piece of news, Matt. The U.S. Department of Treasury is facing conflicting feedback from crypto companies and traditional banking groups over how to implement the Genius Act, the law that regulates stablecoin payments in the U.S. In a letter on Tuesday, Coinbase urged the Treasury to limit a ban on stablecoin interest payments exclusively to stablecoin issuers while allowing it for non-issuers such as crypto exchanges. Coinbase said its proposal aligns with Congress's intent when passing the legislation. At the same time, though, several banking groups led by the Bank Policy Institute have pressed the Treasury to extend the prohibition to non-issuers, advocating for a blanket ban on stablecoin interest payments. So hopefully Coinbase will push for this and we will see some good news come out of this soon.
Yeah, well said. Guys, as this week was a bit of a chill week on the news front, we threw in some sort of, not price action news, but some trendy coin news. Altcoin sentiment showed partial signs of recovery. And guys, we are currently sitting at a crypto fear and greed index of 20. This is incredibly low. I think it's been a year since we've been this low. The biggest winners this week being zk and Zcash. Aster also traded a little bit higher. Full disclosure, I'm not a fan of Aster. I think it is a terrible perfect. That is just me. However, zk and Zcash, I am not a investment analyst, but these things are picking up a lot of momentum. Zcash, also known as ZEC, is the ticker, is currently trading around 522, extending previous gains. This is fitting into a big privacy narrative where privacy-linked tokens have drawn capital and have gone pretty parabolic recently. They have literally outperformed absolutely everything, and Zcash is the highest ranked in the top 100 over the last 6 weeks, I believe. So do take a look out for that. However, it has gone up a lot. Not financial advice, not telling anyone to buy, just something to be knowful of. Last piece of news this week, Rachel, Ripple XRP back in the news, $500 million strategic investment from Citadel Securities, one of the biggest and baddest players in all of TradFi.
Yeah, Matt, and this follows Ripple's Swell event, which I believe just ended in New York this week. So Ripple has announced a $500 million strategic investment round at a $40 billion valuation led by funds managed by affiliates of Fortress Investment Group and Citadel Securities, alongside participation from Pantera Capital, Galaxy Digital, Reven Howard, and Marshall Wass. Hopefully I pronounced all those names correctly. The new round marks further progress in Ripple's strongest year to date, reinforcing investor confidence in the company's growth and long-term strategy. Excited to see this for Ripple. Big fan of Ripple, so good news all around.
Guys, we hope you enjoyed this epi of the Crypto News Weekly Roundup. Again, not that much happened this week besides the market and an absolute bloodbath and a couple hacks. Let's hope for some good news next week. Rachel, always appreciate doing this with you. To the listeners and to the viewers, we hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, hammer that like button, hammer the subscribe button. It would mean the world to our team. To our team at Crypto News, we love you. Thank you so much for everything. And guys, we will see you on the next one. Have a great weekend, a great start to the week. And let's pray for some green. Wow, I cannot talk today. Love you guys. I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, Matt. See you guys next week. Bye.